Hello, my name is Troy Jones. I am a graduating senior at Savannah State University, and today I will be talking about what I learned in my art history course this semester. To begin, we were given an assignment to look at a video that stated what is art, simply to give a definition. The definition that was given by the YouTube video we watched is that art is simply a medium. In my opinion, art is anything that you can use to express itself. So basically, this can be a portrait, this can be a sculpture, this can be a wall mural, anything that you feel it can be used to express yourself within a medium. So throughout the course, we were given a timeline of art to show when art was basically just starting, when it was just cavemen in prehistoric time, all the way to where art is now, where it's simply used as an expression or any type of way that a person wants to express themselves. And then also throughout the course, we discussed the elements and principles of art. The element that stood out most to me during my time of research was the element of color. The element of color focuses on the different colors that are used within a painting, and the colors that obviously stood out the most were the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. These colors, whenever you've seen them inside of a sculpture or a painting or any type of mural, they stood out the most in that character that was focusing on. So the main character of the painting would have on red to make him or her stand out. And then the less important characters will have on more secondary colors such as green or purple, which will make them stand out a lot less than the person who was mainly the main character of the photo. Also, the photo focused on balance. Inside of the balance principle, you would have a painting if you was to cut it in half. On one side, you would see the same effects as you would see on the other side. So it will not be a painting where you had a lot of different things going on the left side and nothing going on the right. It would be where both of them stood out as balanced and you wouldn't get distracted off of one side, but simply focus on the whole picture. So the two key features that I learned in this course was that art makes life better, and also art is significant in telling history that we cannot see on computers and phones. To start out, how does art make life better? So during the prehistoric time, cavemen actually used art as a survival. Inside of the caves that they lived in at night, you would see the different paintings that they had of what they encountered that day. So if they went out and about and they encountered an animal that it took more than one man to fight off, or even if it just took one man, he or she would actually paint the weapon that they used and how they took down that animal. So it'll be like a guide to the person who come behind them to know, okay, when you go to encounter this animal, you want to use this type of weapon, and that will help you take it down better. But then when you went out and you found animals that were a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot more scarier, or even type of animals or creatures that came out at night that you didn't want to encounter, they will also draw those animals and creatures too. So that way people would know, hey, do not encounter this animal. As you can see in this picture, you have the different men who actually went about fighting with their weapons and things like that against this animal of choice. And then sometimes you would see the people going towards the animal, people going away from the animal, and whatever direction they were going, it would show you that they were basically defending themselves or running from this animal. And also, the pharaoh temples designed their temples to basically show the afterlife of that pharaoh and helping them get inside of the new life. In this picture, you see basically that going on in one specific time period. A person that we focused on was King Tut, and how above his tomb that he slept in, you would see the different photos on the wall of his afterlife journey. So when he died, you would see him in the boat going to the, what I would call in their time, the promised land, and he would give the different gold to the person who he encountered. As soon as he got to that land, he would get off the boat and travel to the god of that land and give him whatever that person wanted to enter his way inside of the temple. So basically, his people designed these wall murals to show his afterlife and hope that it went according to the way that they drew it, so that way that that king or that pharaoh could sleep in peace once they did die. So how does art tie into history? So for starters, there was not always, of course, camcorders, cameras, and any type of laptops or anything that could document history before this 21st century, or at least around the 1900s, late 1900s. So therefore, there were different paintings and different sculptures and different wall murals that were found back then that actually describe history. I actually remember when we were researching the cave diggers and how they would go and search for caves, and it was one that we found, and I think it was the east or the west. I'm sorry, in the west. And when they went out there and they were looking for the cave, he actually found it and wasn't that interested in it. But one of his cave members got really excited once he or she found a mural of cave paintings, and it really made them excited because then they were able to tell what went on during that time period. So, in my opinion, art was used more so like a document of that time period. This was also used for the old sculptures and the wall paintings in the Pharaoh's tomb, as I mentioned in the previous slide. When people found these caves or found these tombs, they were able to see the description of what those people felt like afterlife was and tell the story that, hey, during this time period, they felt like if they drew these paintings, it would help that pharaoh get to the better part of the afterlife. And lastly, paintings exhibit emotions by the time period also, because there were certain time periods where different things were going on, such as during the Renaissance time period, the Black Death was going around, and people actually felt like they drew images of the Black Death and how that time period was in the Renaissance time frame. And also in the Byzantine time frame, this is when Christianity and different religions were big, so a lot of Christian paintings came from this time period. In conclusion, art is important to life. Without art, you would have a bunch of people who cannot express themselves, and you will also have a bunch of missed scenes in the world that you would never know about. Like I said, art is a documentation of history. Even in this painting here, you see the Civil War that was going on during that time frame, and even though you can read a million books about it and kind of get your own self-thought, you can't get that actual painting of what those soldiers wore, what they went through, the flags that they fought for, and so on and so forth, because you don't have a physical image inside of your mind. So art is very important to history, because without it, you can't tell history. You can't document and state what went on during the time period. You can't visually imagine. But now we have cameras and different videos that can, actually document this time period, but then they didn't have that. So their form of art was their form of expression and documentation was through art. And that was the biggest thing that I learned this semester in my art history class. So thank you for your time, and I am again Troy Jones.